Well, we spoke about it last week in a previous episode slash podcast from yours truly, Spot of Nerd, and now it's a reality. Uh, Officially, the former, which, let's be real, probably the president, allegedly, of the United States, is going to be arrested. I don't know how, I don't know when, I don't know what if and in or buts, but they got what they wanted. It only took them 8 years. Now, is it based on facts and truth and everything in between? Absolutely not. So, I'm going to shift gears a little bit because I'll be honest, you can gather with the tone of my voice that, there's a lot of us right now with heavy heart. There's a lot of us right now that there are a lot of negative emotions swirling around the announcement today regarding President Trump. And yeah, I think we all kind of know where I stand, and I won't shy away from it when it comes to facts and truths. And I am 1000% more a supporter of him now more than ever. And I will promise the world, whoever is listening, even if it's just one or two of y'all, that I will never stop telling you that out loud. I'm not I'm not gonna hide anymore. I will never promote violence. I will never promote harm or any of that sort. But I can promise you, I am done tiptoeing. I am genuinely over being quiet and tiptoeing around everything. Because it's enough. This is exactly how we got here. The only people we can blame is ourselves. Genuinely, this is the only people we should be blaming are the ones staring us back in the mirror. We allowed this, whether it's the narratives, whether it's the agendas, everything. We allowed it because we're too afraid to speak up. And I mean, again, we can talk about this another time because I do actually genuinely want to talk about some actual nerd things, but I don't know where we go from here. I really don't. I don't know where we go from here because there's so many things right now that I mean, we are on the tipping point where the next thing to happen is not going to be good. Things are going to get very, very bad. And the ones that are awake, like myself, the ones that are aware, the ones that are intelligent enough to realize what is happening, we kind of know that things are not going to be pleasant, and it's going to be a wake-up call to a lot of you. And you're going to wonder how we got here, if you haven't already. And I will always use I guess the metaphor, the historical reference of the Holocaust back in the 1940s during World War II, Germany, Hitler. There's thousands upon thousands of news and articles and reports, etc., of historical commentary back then from ordinary civilians that, when they found out about said Holocaust, a simple question was asked, and that question was, how did you not know? And the saddest thing of, I think, I would say in human history, the saddest thing ever was the response from the majority of people was they just simply just thought that's just how it was. That's just what it is. And unfortunately, we all know the history. Hopefully you do. If you don't, I'll remind you. It resulted in millions of deaths. All because of a media, because of a narrative, and ultimately because of politics. And I guess now it's, to be really negative, I guess it's true. Maybe human destiny is to repeat itself. Obviously, not literally, I'm just speaking from an alleged standpoint, but we're not far off. So, I'll leave it at that. I know it's not the best, most positive opening. Trust me, we will be talking about this probably for a while over the next couple episodes, and God knows how long, as much as we go on with this series. But I guess my final thought on that for this episode would be, optimistically, you've given him, if everything goes the way it should, you've given him the election. You have genuinely, in writing, you have stamped the approved. You want him as your next president, you just got it. Because I don't care who you are, what you vote for, left, right, up, down, blah, blah, blah. But if you do not see the evil behind this, at this point, I would just simply say something that I can't. We'll just say that. I can't tell you because, again, I have to be careful. Careful enough, shall we say. But I'll pray. Not afraid to say that at all either. I will pray and hope and, ask God that things change for the better. Interesting times we live in. Very, very dark times. But let's officially shift gears, because I do want to talk about, there has been some pretty incredible television out recently. Most notably for my Trekkie fans out there. Hopefully, if you're not, you should be. But the latest season 3 of Picard, Star Trek Picard, very, I swear to you, I'm not exaggerating, very well might be some of the best writing in Star Trek I have ever witnessed in my entire life. And my hat goes off to the writers, because this story is just masterful. Spoilers if you're not caught up, but the changelings are back from the Dominion War, trying to take over Starfleet, but except this time they've evolved, and instead of just being able to clone folks and change into different people, they've actually had the ability now to clone and change their anatomy. So it's a very different ballgame, and apparently Picard has a son now who is Superman, and we're still trying to figure out that backstory. But the greatest piece, the greatest part of this entire season right now is that they are bringing back everybody from the original Next Generation cast to there's Voyager cast. I mean, it is remarkable. And they're even touching on some of the older films one of the episodes recently kind of focused on there's like a museum of old ships, and I mean it was so beautifully written because they incorporated everything from Voyager to the Bird of Prey from the voyage home. I mean it's just I love how the way they're bringing every series together and actually writing everything into one story. It's masterfully done. So if you haven't, you should check it out now, especially if you're a Star Trek fan, because trust me, this is definitely one of those things you do not want to miss. On a Star Wars note, I'll give it credit. The most recent episode of The Mandalorian, we finally did get a bit of a better episode with in relation to kind of action and maybe direction. It is a little, I'm not gonna lie to you, as I've mentioned before, it's a little tiresome. We're going back to the Mandalore situation again where I'm sorry, but I've lost count at how many times Mandalore has tried to rebuild itself and come back to life, etc. So I guess you'll just have to excuse me when I say I'm just really not that interested. I mean, sure, is it a good show? Yeah, visually it's amazing, but I really do feel, and you can even see this from other fans, YouTube channels, Rumble channels. Everybody has this question of where are you taking this? Because I mean, literally at this point, we're going off on so many different tangents on the story that are we going to focus on one storyline here, or are we just going to have some random ass shit happen every episode? Because if that's the case and you're just going to make every episode random, you're going to lose your audience very, very quick. There needs to be a purpose as to what direction this story is going in. You had the child, you had Grogu, but now that story is kind of ended. Now what? Question mark. So I'm sure, I mean, I guess optimistically, hopefully they will be leaning in the better direction, but at the same time, I just don't see it. We have Star Wars Celebration in London coming up here in a few weeks, so maybe there'll be some more light shed on that, specifically with some of the newer series that are coming out. You'll have Ahsoka, and then hopefully they'll speak a little bit more to like Andor season 2. But flipping the switch on that though, there's also the Bad Batch. Now, if you are a fan of the Clone Wars, you are hopefully watching the Bad Batch, which they've just finished up season 2. And I mean, if anything, I would actually prefer if there was one show to watch from a Star Wars sense, watch that series far more over than The Mandalorian, because I love I love this is where the Star Wars universe almost kind of is the better I would say maybe against Star Trek. I love when they explore these worlds. They just have these different storylines, and it takes the Star Wars universe and it expands it in such a great direction that you want to know more. You want to see more. And I love that they follow this group of genetically altered soldiers, and it kind of tells you the backstory. What did happen to them? What did happen to the rise of the Empire? What happened to the stormtroopers? How did they become? What happened with, the Republic and all that kind of storytelling in the middle? So, there's sadness and tragicness and joy, but I really, God, please give us a season 3, because the way they ended season 2 was most definitely on a cliffhanger. And we need to know. We need to know what happens. We really, really do. So hopefully, I'm crossing fingers that maybe at Celebration they will officially announce that the Bad Batch will be having a season 3. Um, and I guess to wrap it up on a negative spiel, Ted Lasso, um, it's just trash. It is hot sewage. And of course, the question of why do you keep watching? I guess I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't hopeful that maybe somewhere they kind of rebound, get back to that first season of joy and happiness and teamwork, empathy, but right now it's all about politics and just really cringe, drawn out scenes where you kind of wonder that maybe if you just sped up this scene a little bit, you wouldn't need the 50-minute episodes because they're just too long. They're boring, they're dull, they're overrated, and quite frankly, they just don't mean anything. It's kind of pathetic to be very honest with you. On the Apple TV side, switching gears though, if you do want something to watch that is really, really well done, I've mentioned it very briefly, but the show called Shrinking has just finished up its first season, 10 episodes. It's got the Harrison Ford, very well done. I think one of the best things I love about that show, it is a happy, joyful, sad show. Very comedic, but it doesn't have your cliche politics or narratives or agendas in it. So it actually is very well done. And if you are looking for something a little bit more to kind of bring a little more positivity, I would definitely recommend checking that out. It's going to be one of those shows where whenever you have Harrison Ford in a scene, you really do wonder how he agreed to do this role because it's so out of left field for him. It's amazing. It really is, but I promise it's actually a very, very good show to watch. So definitely check that out too because it's just incredible. But some other randomness for you. I recently watched Ghost Ship, which came out way back in 2003. Very surprised on how good that was. If you like the horror type movies, I also checked out. Oh yeah, no, the one of the reasons Ghost Ship was so incredible was it is graphic. Spoiler: in the beginning, they show the death of the entire, I guess, this entire population of crew on this boat, and it's violent. It's very, very violent. And you know me and violence. I love violence in a movie. It's really, really great. So, same thing because, of course, moving on to Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. No joke, just might very well be the greatest horror film I've ever seen in my entire life. Winnie the Pooh murdering people is truly one of the greatest things I've ever seen on television. It's amazing. Definitely go check that out. And I'll talk a little bit more about it later, but The Whale, I finally did get a chance to see The Whale, which was the movie where Brendan Fraser won his Oscar for Best Actor, and there is a reason he got that award. That movie, it's a very hard movie to watch. I will give you that heads up. It is a very, very hard movie to watch, mainly because as human beings, we are full of shit and we are assholes, just to be very blunt, because I can promise you that that story exists somewhere in this world to this day, to this moment, in the past, and will probably be in the future as well. So, but if you're looking for something that's just incredible to watch, definitely check out The Whale as well. And we'll kind of leave it there. I'm kind of getting this vibe where I think 20 minutes or so is pretty good for a podcast, new episodes. So the cliche, you know, the usual. My huge thanks to everybody who listens and watches. I don't apologize for the tone, even though I seem a little down. You obviously know why, and maybe hopefully you're in the same way. I don't mean that, and I hope you're down and sad, but I just hope that maybe we are all starting to come together and seeing the truth about the sheer tyranny and horribleness, weaponized politics that we're seeing in this world right now. I really do hope we are finally coming together as one to see that, so that hopefully positive changes can happen from it, you know. But we'll save that for another time. Please, of course, share, follow, like, comment, subscribe everywhere you can. Rumble is going to be the big one right now. I definitely am shooting more for the Rumble side of things to get my voice and views out there. So far, we've got about 3 or 4 videos up on it, and it's doing pretty well. A hell of a lot better than YouTube. So, again, proof that once more the big techs are most definitely either banning or shadow banning. So, it's very, very good that we have these alternatives. And yeah, so super duper thanks. Keep your heads up. I promise. If anything, if the Bible says one thing, this will, as much as it will go bad, it will get better. And I hope God will help us. I really do, because we need him more now than ever. Jesus Christ, as he shakes his head. Anyway, y'all, we thank you so much, and we will see you guys next time. Later, y'all.